Everyone is telling you to buy the S&P 500 if you go online and ask anyone, what should I invest in? It is always going to be the S&P 500. But the S&P 500 is not the only ETF out there. And today we are going to talk about the SCHD, or SCHD, which is the Schwab US Dividend ETF. Alright, so let's take a look at the top 10 holdings. We have Texas Instruments, PepsiCo, Chevron, ConocoPhillips, Cisco, Merck & Co, Amgen, AbbVie, Bristol-Myers, Coca-Cola. All of these reach about 40% of their entire holding. 10-year dividend yield has been hovering around 3 to 4%. Now, that sounds pretty low, but this is what you want to look at, yield on cost. So on year 0, if you bought in, your yield was only 3.81%. But if you were to buy this all the way back in 2015 and held this for 10 years, right now your yield is at 8 to 8.5% on cost. So this means that if 10 years ago you put in $100,000, it would have only given you $300 every single year. But right now, 10 years later, it is giving you $800. So the amount of dividends that you are getting has almost doubled. So a few key metrics to take note of. First of all, the weighted average return on equity for SCHD portfolio consists of 28%, and the 5-year earning growth stands at 9.3%. So these are not some random weird companies that may just disappear one day. These are companies that are consistently growing, and more importantly, consistently growing their dividends. And growing dividends is probably the most important factor when deciding whether or not to get into a dividend stock. So right now, the dividend growth is about 10% every single year, and this is how the calculations were made. And before all the dividends, it has a growth rate of about 11 to 12% over the past 10 years. So this isn't like Net Trust where it's completely flat. Like, this stock actually grows. And I mean, on paper, that actually suits my profile very well. This ETF is growing at 10 to 12% every single year. And it also pays out dividends, which allows me to spend it or reinvest it. But because I live outside of the US, 30% of my dividends will be taxed, which makes it a little bit less attractive. But even taking all that into consideration, it still probably outperforms a lot of Singapore stocks that does pay dividends, like REITs. So if you're interested in looking into dividend ETF investing, this is a good place to start. I'm not recommending you to buy this, but I hope this helps you kind of figure out that there is more than just the S&P 500 that may suit your risk profile a lot better and just help you better understand what else is there in the markets. But if you're someone who really just want dividends, then hang around for tomorrow, as I will show you one that has an 8.32 yield. But is it worth buying into it? That's going to be the question.